Hello everyone, today I want to film a video regarding my floor renovation experience. So my parents recently bought a new townhouse. It's not very big, it has 3 levels, but the square footage is only 1,300 square feet, so it's a very small townhouse. So my project is to replace all the floor in this townhouse to brand new floor. Eventually we decide to use waterproof laminate as our choice because my parents really like the laminate floor. It's relatively thicker and it has more like a homey and wood feel compared to vinyl floor, and hardwood floor is just not in our budget. So that's why we decided to go with waterproof laminate. Well, I thought this would be a relatively easy renovation experience because it's just replacing floor, right? You don't expect it to take super long or being super complicated. So I was expecting the whole process takes like maybe a week or 2, but it ends up taking almost 2 months. So yeah, of course, something went wrong during this process. That's why this whole journey takes so long. So but eventually we got it done. I will insert a picture right here to show you some before and after difference. So I'm basically satisfied with the end result. However, if some people teach me something before, give me some tips, I would do a lot better than what I did this time. So that's why I want to make this video. And if you are going through a home renovation project and you are going to replace your floor, maybe you'll be learn something from my experience and do a better and quicker job. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So the first lesson I learned from this whole process, which is I feel like the #1 lesson I learned, which is the most important lesson, is do not order floor from Home Depot or Lowe's unless the floor is right in stock in that store and ready to be picked up. So I recommend you to order floor from like a store that especially sells floor, such as Floor and Decor or LL Floor. Order floor from that kind of store because they usually have those floor already in stock and it's ready to pick up. Because I'm telling you, if you try to order floor through delivery, even if it might shows on the website the floor is in stock, but if it requires delivery from another place to your store or to your place, that means the procedure is gonna take forever and maybe just never happen. And this is like a hard lesson I learned because we all go to Lowe's and Home Depot all the time, so it's how convenient it is if we can just order floor from those places. That's what I thought. So initially I ordered my floor from Lowe's, and which I really love that floor. It's a shame I didn't eventually go with that floor because I ordered it and I waited for 3 weeks. It's supposed to get delivered in 3 days, but I waited 3 weeks and it did not get delivered. And I called Lowe's. I went to Lowe's store to ask them, what's the schedule, what's the expected delivery date, and nobody knows. Their customer service is also terrible. So nobody knows. Nobody knows where the order is or when it's ever going to be delivered. Nothing like that. So for that, I'm never going to order floor from Lowe's anymore. I do think Lowe's have some good products, but just not floor. And then I went to Home Depot. I feel like maybe I just got bad luck. So I ordered floor from Home Depot instead. And the same thing happened. Those floors just never get delivered. Like what a chance. Like I ordered floor from like twice from this retail store and none of them got delivered. So I had to go to a different Home Depot, and I saw that Home Depot have that 1,300 square feet floor right in stock in their store. So I had to drive an hour to that Home Depot store to pick it up, but it really shouldn't be this difficult. And just because of this whole process, this whole floor ordering process took me like over a month to actually get the floor delivered to my house. So just for that, it takes forever. So I'm never going to order floor from Home Depot or Lowe's because be ready, they never get delivered. So my suggestion to you is to order floor from Floor and Decor. They got great floor selections, and they usually have like a large amount of floor right in stock in their store, ready to pick up, ready to go. That's what you want. Okay, so that's the first lesson I learned. And the second lesson I learned is during the floor installation, please make sure the subfloor is level and sound. So this is another reason like why my renovation took forever than expected, because we had to, so basically we finished the floor in that level, then I went there to inspect, and I found a huge bump right in the middle of that bedroom. A huge hump, I mean. So it's like the middle of the room is so much higher than the edge of the room, elevation wise. So, you know, it's like the floor is not level, and I don't want to have to climb a hill whenever I enter that room. It just feels weird, you know, feels disoriented. So basically, I told the contractor you have to rip off all the floor and redo the floor completely all over again, which is a very big hassle to do that because you have to rip it off, right? Then some floor got damaged, and some floor, they are really hard to remove because they're close to the door trim and there's some details. Anyway, so we removed all the floor in that room, and we found the subfloor is humped, and we eventually have to rip off the subfloor, and we found the the stringer underneath the subfloor is humped. I don't know why, but it's just humped. The beam underneath the floor is humped. So the contractor doesn't really have a tool to level the beam, which is a whole new story. But anyway, so we have to go through all these hassle in order to fix the subfloor, make sure it's level, and to put new floor back. So if we had just found this problem before we start this whole process, that'd be so much easier than we already finished the project, and what a disappointment. We had to rip it off and start all over again. So make sure subfloor is level, and the contractor should have a level. You know, our contractor don't, which I feel like it's ridiculous. You're a floor guy and you don't even have a level, but they just don't. So you just gotta be on top of everything basically. And then another thing is also the same thing happened. You know, we found the floor after it's completely done, it's actually squeaky. You know, the existing floor was squeaky and the new floor is kind of squeaky. So that is because the subfloor was not properly anchored to the studs underneath the floor. So the subfloor was, you know, a little bit bouncing around. That caused the top floor, when you walk on it, it has a squeaky sound. So make sure the subfloor is properly anchored to the joists. So, you know, when you walk on the subfloor, there shouldn't be any squeaky sound. So it lay a nice base for your new floor. So please make sure, please be there and actually inspect the whole process. Make sure the subfloor is in good shape, it's sound, it's in a good shape, it's intact, there's no mold on anything, and there's no hump. And before you lay the real floor on the top. And that's the second, that is the second lesson I learned. And the third lesson I learned is if you can, please pick a contractor that is referenced from someone else, because I picked a contractor through an app called Thumbtack, because I don't know a whole lot of people, and so I just basically went with, you know, this app, and I chose one based on the review. And I did interview 4 contractors, and one of them is from the neighbor's recommendation. I just kind of regret I did not pick that one. I probably should have, but for some reason, I eventually went with this guy that I found from Thumbtack, the app. This guy, actually, the price was pretty expensive too for him. He charged about $7,000 for 1,300 square feet floor replacement. And the other guys, some guys can charge as cheap as $5,500 for 1,300 square feet. So basically, your floor price is solely based on square footage. It's not really related to the amount of rooms or the difficulty of the rooms, none of that. It's pretty much just based on the type of the floor you use and the square footage. So we picked this guy. He's expensive, but what I liked about it is he, during the proposal process, the cost estimate process, he responded very fast. And and also he told me his base is actually 5 minutes from where we live. Then I thought how nice it would be, his office is right there. If we had any problem during the renovation process, we can just find him in his office. But in fact, I don't really think he works in the office that's 5 minutes from us. So basically, we have to talk through the phone all the time, which after he got this project, after I signed the contract, it's getting a lot more difficult to be found than before I signed the contract. It's like sometimes I text him, it took him like a day or two to respond to my request. And it's just like his punctuality is not really satisfying me, but I mean, he's okay. I wouldn't say I can eventually get in touch with him, but I understand he has a lot of projects to work on, but I just feel like, as a boss of this team, he should be more responsive and be on site more often to inspect the work rather than probably during the whole process, he was on site for like 3 hours, So basically, we had to inspect the whole process ourselves rather than, he as a supervisor should be on top of everything. Try to go with somebody that's from reference, because I'm sure whoever referenced them, they have used them before and they are satisfied with their performance. That's why they are recommended. So chances are those people are a lot more reliable than the random guy you found from internet. That's the third tip. And the fourth tip I want to talk about is the floor choice. So of course, the floor choice is totally up to you. It's your decision. It should be based on your liking or preference. But just from my own experience, I picked the floor choice that I made finally is not completely my choice because it's my parents' house. So we went to shop for the floor for at least 3 times. And eventually all of us three agreed on this particular floor. It's a long process just to shop the floor, but eventually we agreed on this floor, which is very hard to achieve, 3 people like 1 floor at the same time. But I mean, I like this floor. I think it's very good quality. It's very scratch resistant, and it's pretty waterproof. It looks, I think the quality is there. But on the other hand, what I don't like about my final choice of floor is this floor is too yellowish for me, too warm tone. So I wanted a warm tone floor because I feel like warm tone actually makes the home more homey, more like a home. And also it looks like more like a real wood compared to like some vinyl floor, which is kind of grayish looking. I feel like those are kind of give you a cold feeling. So I thought, vinyl just gave me a feeling of walking on plastic rather than walking on wood floor. So that's why I eventually went with laminate, waterproof laminate floor. But during the process, a lot of people recommended me to go with vinyl instead. And I wish I did listen to them, because after this floor is installed, I kind of feel like this floor choice is a little bit way yellowish than my liking. It's almost gave me like a little bit dated feeling, it's so warm that it doesn't feel like modern or clean, which is kind of the look that I'm going for. It's just super yellow. So this floor under the sunlight, it does look like a red color, but when you put it in your house, I don't know, for some reason it looks a lot more yellowish than when you look at the floor from the sunlight. So I feel like the right way is to take the floor to your room, and actually, it's better to have like a couple of pieces or 3 pieces laying around so you can see what the real color look like in your own home. But if I can choose again, I'd rather choose something with a grayish tone. I feel like grayish tone actually makes a home look a lot more cleaner and a lot more modernish looking. And believe it or not, for a small townhouse that's not very fancy, a little bit grayish tone actually makes a house a lot more nicer. So that's my advice to you. I would choose something without a lot of color variation. It needs to be neutral. The tone needs to be neutral, and it needs to have a little bit grayish and brownish combined rather than just brownish, yellowish. And I do recommend vinyl more than laminate, because I feel like vinyl is a lot more waterproof and durable than laminate. So just make sure, as long as you make sure the subfloor is level and sound, whatever top floor you put on there, you're not gonna feel like a bounciness or anything like that. It will be just fine. So believe me, don't need to pick a laminate floor just because laminate floor is thicker. So that's all the important tips I want to give it to you. I know it's already a very long story. So the final tip I want to give to you, this one is optional. And so when you lay the floor, make sure, try to make the floor go through each room without a separation in the middle. Sometimes at the doorway, we put like a transition or a separation between the floor of the room. And if you do that, when you vacuum, there's gonna be a bump there. And also, I feel like that does look a little cheaper than if you have the floor level and throughout the whole square footage. That's gonna look a lot more open concept and more cohesive looking. And also make sure you pay attention to the orientation of the floor. For example, this room, the floor could go this way or it could go this way. So you got to think about like which orientation is your favorite, which orientation makes a room bigger, or which orientation, like if you were gonna replace this room, the floor of this room in the future, that orientation needs to make your job easy. If for example, the floor goes perpendicular to the doorway, like for example, that door goes perpendicular this way, and if you don't have a separation at the doorway, then when you're gonna replace the floor in this room in the future, you cannot replace this room without damaging the hallway, the floor on the other side of the door. It's not easy to do that. I don't know if I explained my point clearly, but just make sure you pay attention to the orientation of the floor. So that's all the tips I want to give it to you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you learned something from my experience. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below and I would be happy to answer them. And yep, have a good day. Bye.